Hello, I'm Prowie. I'm at Bundanoon and I just finished Attack of the Buns. It's a 3-day bikepacking route taking you from Bungendore to Bundanoon, covering over 300 plus kilometers and 5,000 plus meters of elevation gain. It's been an epic adventure. Now, whilst I'm waiting for my lift, I'm at the train station. I am going to go over what I packed for this trip, what's changed from previous trips, and things perhaps that I'd change for next time. I'm going to start off with the rear pack because I'm freezing cold. I've just ridden through the rain and I desperately need to put on some more layers, which are in there. So let's get started. Okay, in the rear is just stuff that I typically won't access until I reach a campsite, only because it's probably the hardest thing to pack. So first of all, I've got some camping gloves. This is different to my previous trip. I knew that there might be some dampness and I wanted to have warm hands at my campsite. So I've got a fresh pair of dry gloves, which I'll put on in a second. I've got my Patagonia, I think it's a Nano Air jacket. This is awesome, synthetic down. It can get wet and still be warm. Great bit of kit. And then following that, I've got a icebreaker merino wool thermal top, and again, another brilliant piece of kit. I'll only put this on at the campsite. So one more thing whilst I'm at it, I've got, this is different to my other trip as well. I've got this Uniqlo Heat Tech thermal bottoms, really warm, great for the campsite. I'm gonna put those three things on right now because I'm so cold.
A few moments later.
Alrighty, I feel so much warmer already. So I just put on my thermals and a jacket, and oh, what a difference that makes. So I took off my Patagonia shirt, another one of my favorite pieces of kit in the sense that it's long sleeve, it dries quickly, kind of protects you from the sun, and just a good bit of cycling kit for me. Bib shorts, not going to go into much detail, and this trip I brought some arm warmers, which is different from what I've had before. I wore these under my shirt and that was great. And in addition to that, I had these Lululemon running shorts, and under here I had a short sleeve icebreaker as well that I wore as a base whilst I was cycling, and that made all the difference in terms of warmth whilst I was riding. It just took the edge off a little bit, and I paired that with a sleeveless gillet. Well, a gillet's sleeveless in nature? I don't know, let me know. Anyway, I wore like a windbreaker vest as well. So that layered with the rain jacket, I could kind of layer up on or off as I needed, depending on whether it was cold, raining, or otherwise sunny. And I feel like I experienced all the seasons whilst I was on this ride. Yeah, anyway, moving on to other things in this pack. I already showed you my gloves, I might as well put them on. I got my Go Light -7 Goosefill quilt. I've had this for, I don't know, probably since 2009, so coming up to 15 years. Is that right? Yeah, I've had this for over 15 years and it's still doing me good. I've talked about this in the past. Really great. Merino socks. These were my day-to-day riding socks, and then I wore my clean pair of socks on the last day. I think this is a Cedar Summit pillow. Really good bit of kit. Different to the pillow I brought last time. I'm just trying out different pillows. I think I like this one more than the, what's the brand? Nemo pillow that I had for my last trip. And the reason why is I'm a side sleeper, and I think this just has a little bit more, what do you call it, height to it. And yeah, really did the job. Inflates pretty quickly, deflates just as quickly. That's good. I'm trying to keep my sleeping bag off the damp ground. And then, different from my last trip, I brought this, let me see if I can find the brand. And I should say, none of this is sponsored. I do this all for my own money. This is just stuff that I've found that has worked for me over the years. I know there's a tag somewhere. It's a Cedar Summit Thermalite sleeping bag liner. It just runs a little bit warmer. So because I knew it would be a bit colder this trip, I used this paired with the quilt. It worked really well. Gets me down to about, I know that my sleeping bag says down to -7, but really It's it's only good down to about 0 degrees in terms of comfort. I'm sure you could survive a -7-degree night, but it wouldn't be pleasant. And finally I've got my Nemo Tensor Light kind of sleeping mat, another good bit of kit that I quite enjoy. All right, let's pack that all up. When it comes to actually filling these things, I don't know, just shove it all in there really, and then Bob's your uncle, you know. I don't know. I'm sure there's strategy around it, but I try and compact the bottom as much as I can with the heavier items, and then top it up with the sleeping bag, which is very compressible and light. Okay, so that's the rear bag done. Okay, moving on, let's work back to front. I do the actual, what do we call this? Frame bag. So the frame bag, this is a homemade piece of kit. It's done me well. I made a patch here from where my pedal rubs, and I've managed to wear another hole through it, so I'll have to patch that up again. First things first, this is a new bit of kit for me. I bought a DJI Neo drone. Really fun, really easy to use. You know, pretty entry level as far as drones goes, but it kind of suited the needs of this, I guess, trip perfectly. It's really light, and I'll show you some footage, I guess, whilst I'm talking over this now. I borrowed this case. It was 3D printed by Tyler, who was with me on my last trip. Some bit of kit. It's pretty fun. Would recommend. I've got this Toe Peak floor pump. I had to use it a couple times. I really like it because you can place it on the ground and it works just like a floor pump. And so you can get to full pressures pretty quickly and efficiently, and you don't, like, I guess, literally get an arm pump from pumping up your tires. So excuse the pun. Great bit of kit. Got some toiletries with me, deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, and some Body Glide. I didn't actually use the Body Glide this trip. I use it for running, but don't use it for cycling. I don't know why I packed it. Camping kit. I mean, not camping. Cooking kit. I've got this Metho stove that's homemade, cat tin style thing, with a Trangia pot, lighter, and then a couple bits of aluminium foil that I use as a kind of DIY windshield and lid. First aid kit. Don't know how I feel about first aid kits. Kind of, my philosophy's always been, if I get in enough trouble, I can SOS my way out of here. But on this trip, because I knew I'd be solo, you know, say I fell down and got a bit of road rash, I wanted to be able to treat that on the go. So that this kit is kind of centered around that. So a few bits of gauze. I'm gonna wait for this train to pass. It's a really long train. Is that not the longest train you've ever seen? Holy crap, that just went on forever. Anyway, yeah, philosophy with this, mainly to treat, I guess, kind of abrasion injury from falling off a bike. Anything more serious than that, I've got, I guess, access to SOS functionality, stuff that I can't really treat on the go. I kind of delegate. Does that make sense? I don't know if I've explained my philosophy well enough. But the other thing as well is because this trip was solo, I just wanted to have something to be able to, you know, to I guess deal with the situation if it arises. Fortunately, I didn't have to use this. Toilet paper, enough said. I brought some nitrile gloves. I'm not sure if this was necessary. I think the thinking was if it was gonna rain, I can wear these over my gloves and help protect my hands. I just didn't end up using them. I think maybe there was a bit of friction in terms of when it actually rains, do I want to stop, unpack my bike, not unpack, open my bag, put my gloves on? I don't know. Anyway, I didn't use them. Will I bring them next time? Probably not. Hydrolytes, baby wipes. This is to kind of give myself a little bit of a shower after a long day of riding. And there's this little thing. I packed this with some chain oil. This actually ended up being so useful. After day 2, I was riding through some really dusty roads, mixed in with some rain. I ended up with the squeakiest chain of all time, and this did the job in terms of fixing that. Because I knew it was going to be cold and my camp setup was quite interesting, I brought an emergency blanket with me. I didn't have to use it, but it was nice to have that fail-safe if I did. A few other miscellaneous pieces, some tie levers. I had some patches, a bit of duct tape, a bottle to carry my methylated spirits for my stove. I had this container which had some ibuprofen gel. I experienced a bit of knee pain in my last trip and I just wanted something to be able to deal with the inflammation if it arose. I did end up using it, but not for my knee, it was actually for my ankle. I had kind of a, I don't know, my ankle was playing up and this actually really helped, so that was awesome. Finally, I had one zip tie. I don't know, don't ask. And then 3 spare tubes. So yeah, I ended up with 2 flats this trip. One was a pinch flat and one was from, I think, an incorrectly seated tube that just blew up on me. Some footage here. And yeah, this 3 tubes paired with some patches, I think did the job. I was getting a bit nervous because this tube isn't designed for the fatness of my tires, so next time I'll probably get more properly sized tubes, or I think I might consider upgrading to a tubeless setup. We'll see. And that's everything in my frame bag. I'll put everything back whilst I can. Next on the list is the gas tank. So I guess my gas tank, that's my primary fueling station. Throughout this trip, my motto has been ABE, always be eating. So I always need to have some bit of food in front of me so I can keep riding without bunking. So typically, yeah, I'll have some food in there, some lollies, and then I have my 2 multi-tools as well. My bike multi-tool and my Leatherman. So this is handy for camping mainly. It's got scissors and a knife and some pliers if I need them. And then this for everything related to the bike. It can do most things. It's got a chain breaker and what do you call it? A spoke key. Anything more serious than that, then I'm going to a mechanic and not doing it on the road. And then up front, I've got my 2, what do you call them? Feeders? I don't know. I use them for carrying my water. I've got a little sunscreen bottle there, more water. And then I guess we'll move to the front of the setup. I've got a quad lock there that holds my phone, a bell which I didn't have to use, and then 2 bags up the front. I've got this waterproof bag, Ortlieb waterproof bag, and I'll show you what's in there in a second. So I'll start off with my Ortlieb bag. This is again another piece of kit that I've had for 15 plus years. I've just arrived at Bundanoon, so this is sitting loose, but typically it's in my electronics bag, which is here. And in my electronics bag, I guess this is new for this trip, this Belkin 65 watt charger with 2 USB-C cables. I'm gonna go over my electronic setup in another video, but you'll see it's got a whole bunch of different adapters associated with it. And then inside my electronics kit, I've got spare batteries for the camera. This holds 3 batteries, and I actually really like this because it can double as a portable battery in a pinch. Didn't have to use it. I've got this 10,000 milliamp hour battery bank. Again, I'll go into detail in another video. Their drone battery and a bank card. I flashed it up, hopefully it doesn't show my details. Yeah, that's my electronics kit. What else have I got in here? Oh, this was MVP of the trip, I swear. This is my field notes for the whole trip. I have a link down the bottom if you're ever interested in doing Attack of the Buns. Basically, it has my planned distance for each day, cumulative distance, the lap distance between each milestone, elevation gain and elevation loss, and then a location and description. So then I can pretty much go, all right, the next stop is, you know, Maloon Creek Campground. How far is it? It's 33 Ks away, and I know there'll be 540 meters of elevation and 372 meters of loss. So this is really good because it helps break down the days into smaller chunks, and it gives you an idea of the level of effort required, especially with the elevation gain. One thing I discounted was my last stop, Fitzroy Falls to Bundanoon. I had 440 meters of elevation gain, and I thought I got it wrong, but this thing was right. So there was so much climbing at the end that I didn't realize it was there. Anyway, that was pretty funny. Next up, I've got my camp spoon. I use this as a little mic holder as well. shown here, but also got a little lavalier mic, which is handy. Some rubbish. What else? I've got my head torch. It's a Nightcore UL 25. My front light. I actually have a spare head torch, same one, and my front light as well. So, Lazine 500 XL does the job. All right, that's my front bag. Chuck everything back in. Finally, I'll move on to my other kind of camping bag. This will only ever come off when I'm camping or when I reach the campsite, if I can get it open. So I've got the top tent bag, but it doesn't actually contain the top tent that I used for my previous trip. I've got this blue, this is kind of a feed bag. I brought quite a bit of food this trip with me. I don't know why, I guess you do stop by through towns, but I didn't want to spend heaps of time going through the shops and whatnot to pick up more food. I brought 2 dinners and 3 breakfasts with me and a few snacks along the way, and they kind of lived in here. I do actually have 1 breakfast left over and a couple hot chocolates as well, which I never ended up using. That was my feed bag. That was fuller, I guess, at the start of the trip. And then this is my kind of camping kit. Starting off with this, my ground sheet is pretty much just a heavy duty garbage bag that I cut in half and folded open. Does the job, honestly. And then I'll show you a picture of my camp setup, or a video of my camp setup, but I pretty much used a poncho tarp that I've had again for over 15 years. I've used it for various camping trips. I've got some pegs, and then I also have these extendable poles that came with the top tent that I have for my other camping setup, and this allows me to kind of be versatile in how I set up that poncho tent tarp. This is a light setup. It's not the lightest. You can definitely go much lighter if you spend more money on different materials, like is it Dyneema? I'm trying to think of the, anyway. So I also had some guy lines paired with this, and yeah, it did the job. So would I do this again? I packed it because it was a fun little challenge. It was much lighter than my other setup, and I knew I'd be, I don't know, I was quite cold on the first night, and the forecast also said there wouldn't be any rain, and to be fair, there wasn't any rain at night. There was a bit of drizzle here and there, and this was enough to cover the drizzle. You can set it up in the rain and have it set up for the rain, but it's not very comfortable. That's all I can say. So I'd only bring this setup if I knew that the weather was going to be fine. In the end, I think I got lucky. That's all I'll say about that. Lucky in the sense that it didn't rain more than it did. I thought there'd be no rain, and there was heaps of rain this trip. So, you know, don't make your decisions based off of forecasts as well. That's all I can say. This forecast is sometimes wrong. Last but not least, I carried this Salomon running pack with me as well. It has 2 500ml flasks on the front. I've got my Garmin InReach Mini there, and I really love this because with all my other bags, there isn't that much room to add stuff on. Like, my rear pack is pretty much full with all the camping gear, and I'm not going to be adding food and stuff to it. Same with my front. Whilst I did have my feed bag, it's a bit of a pain to take it off, add food, put it back on. Whereas this, I can literally stop riding, whip it open, and fill it with stuff along the way. And that happens all the time. I normally have my rain jacket in here, it's quick access. And then any food that I think I'll be using through the day for my feed bag, I'll put in here. And then it's just like a vessel that can really expand and fill out if you need it to. One of the things I carry in there is this 1 litre platypus bladder with the filter. So if I ever need to, you know, top up on water, I'll fill this up, filter the water and go. Or I can fill this up, put a cap on it and filter it later. So Doritos, that's one of my favorites on the trip. Got a beanie. 2 days in a row, I put my beanie in here because I forgot to take it off and put it into my rear bag. But it is. More lollies for the feed bag and a Snickers bar. That's it. That's everything. I'm trying to think what I'd probably change if I was to do this trip again. I think I was pretty streamlined in what I packed. I'd probably consider carrying a tent for next time. But at the same time, it was fine. Everything I carried did its job. I had some level of redundancy in a few things. In the end, I don't think I would change much with my setup. I was pretty happy with everything I carried, and depending on the weather, I may have changed the shelter setup a little bit, but what I carried did the job for the trip that I did. I guess not shown here is the camera. It's my action cam as well, and also a little tripod and extendable selfie stick. Yeah, thanks for watching this video. Let me know if there's anything you think I should have carried, or some things in here that I probably should have left at home. Would be interested to hear your thoughts, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.